Misha Eina Mimcha, someone's not a Mimcha. Ule Kabli Ule Bala Dinam, will not accepted the Bala Dinam. It's not a Mimcha. Afa Pisha Nutra Shism Reshagoyle, Eina Din. Din. This was very negated by Sai, that they used to, they used to have, what's his name? People would get, a judge was a very powerful position. I don't know how today it's just powerful, but those days, time of Chazal, a judge, it has some power today too, but it was extremely powerful. So people would buy the position, literally, unfortunately, and buy from the Resh Gelusa. Not always was the biggest tzaddik, the fact of history. So he says, if he's not a mumcha, just because he took Resh Gelusa, the psak is not a psak. He forced you to come to the Torah, it's not a psak. Don't forget. This is a Gemara. This is a quote of the Gemara, that if a person was appointed as an appointee not because he knows his stuff. See, today a judge, I don't know what he has to know. He has to have to know nothing. I don't know. What? Who he has to know. You has to know the judge. But those days, in the Torah, the Dayan has to know Choshen Mishpat well, very, very well. That was the criteria. He knows his stuff very, very well. And not just he knows his stuff, he knows how to compare things, he understands people. So B'meila, if he was appointed and is not worthy, its appointing is worthless. Now, this was unfortunately through history, unfortunate. Shis shenoisen hamelech bezman hazeh eine klum. And the Ashkenazim, I don't know about the Sfardim, how it was, the Ashkenazim used to live in ghettos for generations. It's only when forgot which Saint Joseph that started to let the Jews live outside the ghettos. It was the king of Vienna and Hungary. They were the ones who opened the gates and said that the Jews, but it used to be, if you go touring Europe, this is the Jewish ghetto. The Ashkenazim, they had their own power. But the government would tell them to appoint judges. And the government, if you smear the government, the king would say, I want you to appoint this guy as a dayan. So he says, it's worthless.
That's just like the Machaber.
Yeah, it's worthless. If the kul did accept him, sometimes the kul felt he's worthy, he's good enough, we need him, maybe he has got, if they accepted him, if the Rav kul accept him, then it's okay. Yuchaludin. So he says, V'yesh omrim, dim gumar v'suver, mahalal l'shis hamelech. When does the permission of king worthless? When he doesn't know his stuff. But let's say he really is a big Talmid Chacham, knows Choshen Mishpat very well, but he was appointed by the king. Yeah, show him that it's okay. Mahana, the Gemara says Mahana l'shis hamelech oy sara mini beiroi. They say b'chal dina the malchisa l'hoishiv dayunim v'shoiftim mishirtza. You hear what the Rabbi says? This is one shit in the Rishonim that holds dina the malchisa. Dina applies to appointing the judges. The malchis.
If he knows.
Yeah, it's a Tekanisha knows because he doesn't know them. That means he has to know Choshen Mishpat. But after he knows Choshen Mishpat, he has to know well that if this, you know what Dina Machisa mean, the law of the land, but I remember I explained it more than once. There's a huge mistake, especially the modern Orthodox people walking around. The law of the land is the law. I don't have to learn the Constitution. To be an expert in this local law, and if I sped in the freeway, I don't have to say the speeding. I always tell people, and that's not what the law of the land means. The law of the land means that when it's negeya Choshen Mishpat, they have a right to say things. L'mashal, today it's very negeya. If I send a bill on the internet, I buy something internet. Till they passed the law, who said I bought it? So they said, if you click the box, you accepted the thing. There's no signature. You just click the box. I remember about 10 years, whenever they passed this law, it changed the whole industry. Right? That's called Dina Machisa Dina. You got to facilitate business. Dina Machisa Dina could do that. But Dina Machisa Dina, you know, I tell people there's a Machloikis in the Gemara, we pass the Gezel Akim is Osir. Okay? Machloikis in the Gemara Gezel Akim is Mutter or not. I don't understand. Didn't every culture have a law you're not allowed to steal from each other? What happened to Dina Machisa Dina? I mean, what was the question? Every culture had laws. That, so Dina Machisa Dina doesn't tell us what's right and wrong. Dina Machisa Dina could point a judge. Because the Dina Machisa, that's the din of the Malchus to make sure there's law and order. Dina Machisa Dina is law and order. For us, it's Negeya, certain things which facilitate the law. You know what I'm saying? Makes it, like I just said, on the computer, what's called buying, what's called selling, when it's called yours, when it's not called yours. Pesach, a guy told me, one of the grocery stores, that came out Pesach in a very interesting time. That Achon Pesach was Thursday, and Friday was going to be Isser Chag. So he needed things on the truck on the Achon Pesach. He told me the legal law is, by food, that it's in the truck, it's mine. Dina Machusa. Not all businesses that way. When you order plumbing, it's not yours.
Doesn't it depend where it's FOB?
No, there's a law. In American government, the law depends how the lobbyists work. You know what I mean? You can't copyright a film for 100 years. How long can you copyright a film? Forever. Because the film industry has a better lobbyist. But if you come up with the medicine, and you spend $1 billion on the medicine, you only have 7 years of rights on it. Make sense? It doesn't. But they didn't have such good lobbyists there. That's the problem. Entertainment had better pull. So I'm saying that's why Dina Machisa Dina, doesn't make sense of certain things. Dina Machisa Dina, we'll later learn Choshmish a lot of, but this is this famous Ramo. To appoint judges, Dina Machisa Dina is a din. But he has to be, he knows his stuff. Now look what the Ramo goes on. Even though he knows Choshmish but cold. But he got himself appointed, is Usid Litten Esadin. How do you say Usid Litten Esadin in English? How do you say?
He's going to burn.
He's going to burn. Well, Usid Litten Esadin means he's going to burn. That's a nice way of saying yes. I mean, he's not allowed to do it. Now, the Pesach Tshuva brings down a very important Chizm Sefer. Sefer in his times, this hocus pocus was going on too. Sefer says, Amira de Gezach. He says that what the Ramah says, that they have a right to appoint a judge for the Jewish community, that as I'm saying, strictly with the Jewish community, is if they pay for it. The government. But if the government doesn't pay, they impose we to pay. The Dina Machisa Dina cannot tell you, I want you to use these cleaners and not the other cleaners. Imagine that would be a law, you got to use the cleaners of that has the name Sam on it. They can't tell us what to do. There's no Dina Machisa on that. So some Sefer says that's what the Ramah says because those days the government used to pay. But if the government doesn't pay and the judge puts them in, Dina Machisa cannot tell us what to do. You'd have a right to make a judge and he should pay for it. Correct. Dina Machisa doesn't pay for his taxes. But if we have to pay, Dina Machisa cannot tell us who to hire or not to hire.
This is a tax. Why not? They can tax people.
They didn't want taxing. They tell us, I want you to appoint him. No, and you have to pay for him. No. So it's not a tax. So Sefer says they're forcing us to hire this person. Is that they're telling, I want you? What did you say? That's right?
Obamacare, the healthcare.
And it's a tax. That's what
They're calling it as a tax.
Yeah, but Obamacare is not a tax.
It's a penalty. It's not
They're forcing you to pay for something.
Yeah, forcing to
buy something.
to buy something.
health insurance.
How does it work in Israel?
You pay tax.
How do you work in Israel? What?
Dayanim.
The government pays.
The government.
Sure, of course. From the Rabbanut, for sure. I think lately also a few years ago they got even for the Badats they paid. The original they didn't.
Which Rabbanut? For how many Rabbanut?
I have no idea how it works.
Every town has
There's a big, and unfortunately, so there's a lot of corruption. Yeah, but there's corruption. The Yiddish are from corruption. he's my cousin, he's my friend's daughter,
But if you
friend's
don't believe
son-in-law.
it, that's it. If you don't
Yeah,
believe it, it's good.
but the truth is that in certain ways the Rabbanut is better because they could only be the pool of the judge to give you a written test. Used to be, I don't know if it's still that. Used to, when I was, very difficult test. So in order to be in the pool of judges, they give you a very difficult test. So you have to really know your stuff.
Binding arbitration is very popular today in film dealers around the world. But could we not do an argument to sign binding arbitration? Is that Machayev means Din Machus Din or means Halacha?
B'tzad halacha.
No, but they don't go to necessarily. They go to a businessman.
That's not what you sign, but you have to sign it, the Leuke Smachta Getifse de Stura. You know, you have to write the Leuke Smachta Leuke Getifse de Stura. Yes, it's a binding arbitration. You made a kinyan, you made a deal with the guy. If it's I go into business with you and I tell you every Thursday I'm not working, that's a deal. And if I go into business with you and I say every third year you have to, you know, the schroeder has to be put on outside the shul. Or whatever, you made a deal. So you made a deal. If we have a disagreement, we're going to go to this and this thing. But the reason it has to be the Leuke Smachta because everyone, you know, two people go into business, everything's going to be nice. We're not going to argue, right, Yankee? Everything's going to be nice. And then when trouble starts, you say, I had this with the father and the son who went into business. And not even business, the son came back from yeshiva and his father had a big office rental. So he said, you know, there's a lot of empty space, take it. And I told the father, write an agreement with your son. Me and my son, what are they doing? 4 years later, they got into such a fight. This is terrible. It's always worth it to hire a lawyer, pay a few $100s, and write a contract.
But that contract is called because of...
You made a kinyan.
Because you made a kinyan. Halacha, not
Right.
Din Machus.
It's not here in America, a lot of people do it. Lots of people do it.
You have to make a kinyan?
You have to make it. You have to write the Leuke Smachta. You have to. Well, it's a machlokes of the shtar works. Most you should make a kinyan. The machlokes of the shtar is a kinyan or not the way to write it, but you have to write the Leuke Smachta Getifse de Stura.
Just on the paper?
Right. Someone had it in Torah in Beverly Hills a few years ago, and I told him he's not going to get the money what it cost him the legal fees. It wrote inside the contract they're going to go, if there's a dispute, they're going to go to the RCC, and whoever did violate the contract is going to have to pay all the expenses to the other.
Okay.
So if the business sees you violated, you stam a drake of him, you're not going to win it. So I told them because it's an asmachta. Someone told him, his rabbi told him, there's no such a thing. It says in the contract, there's no such a thing. He's going to costed him $80,000, so he hired the best lawyer and everything. I even then told him, even you hire the best lawyer, you can't have you what the best lawyer you brought into Bezdin. You could buy an average guy. It cost him $80,000 and he didn't get a penny because it was not written well into the shtar. The shtar has to be written to the kesmach, the ketifse de shtura. Because when you set up making a business, if we get into dispute, you hope it never happens. Okay. Anyway, it's important to sefer. Now, Simon Dalet is very important. Now, let me tell you a story that happened. I don't mind being taped, so I'm extremely annoyed. So, there was a guest over here. So, I don't know the whole story. I'm just, it was called as they want to go to Bezdin. There was a guest over here. And it looks like there was a kiddush, and I think he drank a little bit too much. And he felt that someone didn't give him respect and gave him 2 petch. I don't know, you know, in Yiddish, petch means, how do you say, 2 slaps of one. And his hat went flying in front of other people. So the guy comes to me over, he wants to file a police report and he wants to shoot him. So I said, look, Halacha, the first thing that people don't know, that a person hits another person, there's a chedim hakadmoinim. Oh, Shulchan brings it down. We can look it up. The chedim hakadmoinim, that cannot be tzad of him to minyan.
You can't stick a star of them in the minion.
You can't be tzad of him to minyan. Finish. That till he fights him. But if you remember, we learned before that you could call him to din Torah, but he has to pay a piece to the bezdin. Remember, he has to. We don't judge knossos. Knas, we don't judge. We don't judge. It's a knas. We don't judge. It's a knas to chazalke. But bezdin will decide how much to pay. Do you know how much a patch you have to pay? 200 zuz, like a ksuba. Ksuba is about 8,000 to 12,000. So you gave him 2 patch, you might have to give him 24 grand. A slap across the face. Just a slap across the face. Now, I tell him, what did you say?
200 zuz is 10 grand.
What?
200 zuz is 10 grand.
200 zuz is a machlokes how much it is. It's about 12 grand to 8, something or other. 20, but depends on the silver. And the next, let me tell you what happened. So I told him, he's going to leave. He's a guest from Etzisrael. The best thing is to do is to take his talis and tefillin. The guy chickened out. He says he's going to report me to police. So now he wants to know. The guy went back to Etzisrael quickly. So the guy wants to know now, can he file a police report? So is that called Mesira? Now, the Shulchan Aruch says, if you remember, I spoke about it once,
Report that what?
but he hit me.
And then what?
Well, he comes into the States, he'll be arrested.
Oh, the guy who hit was from Israel.
Yes. So now he wants to now, you're not allowed to, we learned this before, let me remind you. It says in the Ramah, the Shulchan Aruch is very machmer. The Ramah seems to say you're allowed to, and the Shulchan Aruch says, doesn't say it. If he argues on the Ramah, because many Achronim argue, it says if a guy is not a rugel bekach, rugel meaning, I told the guy, I want to tell you something. If the guy slapped you, the rule of life is that he did it many times before. No one at the age of 35, all of a sudden, drank a little bit and gave you a slap because he is a slapper. Messias says that. So he started asking right away. He found 2 people that he did it already. So if he's rugel bekach, that's a side thing. But if a person is rugel bekach, you know what the Gemara says? Remember we spoke about that. A finna cuts Yudah. Finna cuts someone's hand off because he used to hit people. He was used to hit people all the time. So you're allowed to master him to the government. But the Rav says, but if he's any rugel bekach, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to do that if he's not rugel bekach. But the words of the Rav seems, but if he doesn't want to come to Bezdin, then I'm allowed to go to the authorities. That's it seems from the words of the Rav.
Without authorization.
Yeah, needs authorization. The Rav is extremely machmir. You always need authorization from Bezdin. So we tell him that you got to show Bezdin. Others we're going to give him permission. But you cannot, Halacha, you cannot maser, only if he's rugel bekach.
For hitting.
Yeah, because if we're not going to stop it, there'll be never law and order. That's what I remember. I showed you at Shuvah Serashba. You cannot have law and order, if a person can get away with it. If a person gives you a patch and gets away with it, then there's no law and order. What do you do to the guy? You know that in all due respect, in Satman, they used to hit each other. They don't hit each other because they go to the police. Finished. And it stopped. It became law and order. They don't do that anymore. And why did they do it? They had to do it. When it was, when people go, I imagine all groups to have this problem. If you hit someone, let it be Crown Heights. Someone told me they so fight among each other, you should call the police. Otherwise, there'll never be law and order. Whenever there's no police, how do you say in English? Anarchy caves in. How do you say in English? It's Hefgewalt. Okay, Simon Dalet is also very important. I just said the guy was allowed to grab his talis and tefillin. Allowed to grab his talis and tefillin to make him come to Bezdin. Okay, that always works. You should know that. But it's about $2,000. But he's going to come to Bezdin. He will come.
But compared to 12,000.
Yeah, but he doesn't. This guy didn't know. He doesn't know that it's 12,000. He has no idea. But he'll come. It worked often. I told this to people, and it worked great.
Does it have to be talis and tefillin?
No, but that's usually the easiest.
What can you take that he was worth $2,000?
I want to tell you a story that happened 25 years ago, 27 years ago, and the whole town knew about it. I don't know exactly what the sichsuk was. I wasn't, but there was a sichsuk between 2 people in town. And one guy, this guy goes to the mikveh. He comes out of the mikveh. His pants is not there. Remember the story? No, the whole town was talking. It turned out this had a guy with a sichsuk, and I don't remember the details. and the guy didn't want to pay him, and the guy just waited to go to the mikveh, and one day he saw this in the mikveh, he went off, and the guy didn't know what hit him. He was screaming, I don't have a pair of pants. I mean, what are you going to do now? So he did the right thing. If the guy owes him money, refuses to pay, I mean, what do you gain for a pair of pants? You know, someone's going to bring a pair of pants at the end of the day. But talis and tefillin is a symbolic thing. You know, I tell people, if a guy doesn't want to pay you a loan, you know, people tell him to give me the lachtis for a mashkin. Lachtis is the counterlander. It always works. Like the pressure is enormous, and somehow he finds the money. A lot of demand, he doesn't have to give you. But
In the mikveh, you could take his $10,000 watch.
you could take his $10 teufis, $10 yes, you should come to Besni. Yes, you're allowed to.
Not in his house.
Yeah, in the mikveh.
What do you do with? You bring it based on with you?
There's not, you just to let him notify him. You just notify him, I'll meet you in Besni. I told him, take his talis and tefillin, and I'll, as a dying, will tell the, what's his name, I'll tell him that the guy would like to meet you in Besni. Now the question, he went back to Etzisruel, so can we mekabel edish lebefonov? There's a din that if a guy goes or runs away, we could have a din here, tell him, either you come back or mekabel edish lebefonov. He's an itza, yeah, so we could mekabel, he ran off, he didn't take care of it. Yeah.
What happens if the guy loses the article? Loses the talis and tefillin?
He's a shamesochan on it, he has to pay him. Yeah. Zug the Machaber. Kol udam yuchel lasses din la'atzmai. A person could do the judgment for himself. Im roye shloi biad acher shegozloi yuchel lekachtoi. You could grab it away from his hands. If you see something with someone, you could grab it out of his hands. Acher oimed kenegdo yuchel la'koisoi. Imagine. Achi yichanu. Now we spoke about this, I think, a little bit. You're allowed to hit him. What? You didn't go to the next?
Yeah.
So let's learn the Shulchan Aruch, because Shulchan Aruch takes the entire simon, because there's so many opinions, and he has a big chiddush. The Shulchan Aruch has a big chiddush about this. So first let me tell you what says the Shulchan Aruch. If your object is by someone, and you have two Adam, you'll be able to prove that it's by someone, you are allowed to take it away and hit him till he gets it. I'll hit a guy. You know him?
What do you mean hit him?
Beat him, punch his nose, knock out his teeth. He has to give it back to Chayfetz. He has your object. You have to try to minimize. Like you gotta hear the news over here. The Israelis gotta precisely minimize the damages. He has to clearly, he can't, shoot him because he doesn't want to give him the Chayfetz. If you could take it away without breaking his hand, take it out without breaking. If the only way you can take the object is breaking hand, break his hand. But you have to.
It's an object, it's not a loan.
It's an object. You took away your object. It says the Gemara, you're allowed to. Don't do enough. So look,
No,
wait.
not a loan.
Not a loan. So loan, you cannot. A guy owes you money. The Rav is going to bring down a big chiddush. A guy owes you money. I cannot take anything out of his hand. But if he left his talis and tefillin on the table, the many shittas hold you allowed to take it. Sagt also, im Neide la Balabais, Chov Zayin. In Neide la Balabais, she'ure is gun of Peres ma Pardes. The Balabais knows that the Ure stole Peres from the Pardes. You know what it is? It's a sharecropper. And the Balabais knows he is taking more than the dealers. I think the deal was that he got 25%, that the owner got 75%, and you know that he's taking a lot more. He says, you're not allowed to take away. Af alpi bezdan, eil alpi bezdan, I'm sorry. But he stole from you. So let me explain this halacha. The Rav holds, if it's my object with Susi there, someone took my object, I'm allowed to, I don't know if I said the story once over before. A guy tells me that he gave his son went to the country, to the camp in New York, and a guy asked him, can my son, they were classmates, can you use the bike? He's not going to be here for 8 weeks. Yeah, no problem, use the bike. The son comes back, and the guy calls him up, can I pick up the bike? Ain't coil, he doesn't answer. Calls him again. So the guy goes to the house and opens the back gate, and this guy's like a young, athletic guy. He flips over the fence, takes the bike, and the father, the guy who loaned the bike, came to me. It's very interesting. You know what the guy did? He stole the bike out of my property. Yeah, it's a rich guy. He stole the bike. I always remember this story. Imagine a rich guy comes to me. A guy, Balbos tells me, this rich guy, the one who lives on Jewel Street, came into my place and stole the bike. I said, what? He stole your bike? Then slowly, as you pull teeth, the story opens up. He didn't steal a bike. Somebody asked him, so did he tell you? He left a message. I didn't have time to get back to him. I said, what was the deal? Till I got this out of him. I didn't get the story out of him. I think I got it out of him. The bottom line is that the guy told him, my son needs the bike. Can you please bring it back? And he didn't answer him. So the next day he went and took the bike. I told him, the Chamazi, he was allowed to break down the door to get his bike. He didn't break down the door. He was nice. He just flipped over the fence and opened the door from the inside. The nice guy. Because that's called din danu de nafshe. That this rich balbos didn't do it because he knew chashimish, but he just was frustrated with the guy. That's called dam dinu de nafshe. But if a guy stole from you grapes, okay, and now we come into divide, I don't want to give him a part of the grapes. He already took his share. I mean, we divided some, and he was going to. So the Rav says that you cannot do. Only an object. But because the guy stole this object, this chair, I cannot steal from him something else. We need a bezdin to decide that. A big chiddush. There's a huge chiddush. No.
You can take the same grapes.
Even a second, but he stole that grapes, and now he owes you money. But those grapes is his.
But if he finds the original grapes.
Yeah, if he finds the original grapes. But even the grapes, these grapes he stole. He didn't take the grapes to be paid from the other grapes. He stole these grapes. He still wants his the percent, whatever, the 25% from there. So when if I'm not going to give him 25%, I'm stealing from him. He owes me money. That the Bezdin Paskin. There's a huge chumra that Rav Paskin likes that opinion. It's a bechloikis, and that's a Rav Paskin's a chumra. He doesn't even bring down his bechloikis. That's how he paskins the meister like the motcha. You follow? That means you could only, if it be cash, it's a whole different story, but it's an object, you cannot do that. If I have his cash, he stole money from me, I can keep his cash. But if he stole money from me, and I have an object, I can't keep it, I have to go to Bezdin, and Bezdin have to say, I'm allowed to keep the object or not. That's what he's saying. Let's see inside. In Noida Balabai, Shud is going to pay this, by any Shulanakislam Mechelkoi, Geshabu Lachlik, Ela Pi Bezdin. So, Din Bezdin. But he's not allowed to do a judge for himself, such a situation. All I'm doing, what am I doing? The story was the Refuna. The Refuna did it. If you learn the Refuna went and he did such a thing, and all his wine became choimetz, vinegar. And all his panos went down the drain. So the Chachamim came to visit him, and they told him, maybe you did an avla. You stole. Me? The guy stole from me. They stole. You're not allowed to do that. Look what it says. You're not allowed to steal. You have to take him to Bezdin. Shloipe Bezdin has a goizel chelkoi hamegil of a peris on his Shiurim, afshkanu tahar b'yoysim chelkoi. Even though he took more, but I'm not allowed to hold back. Why? Says the Rav. Harelanuta b'toris chelika. Eres chava lignois m'she balabayis. She chelkoi is nisher adayim a peris on his Shiurim. It's like if let's say the others would have come in and stole your Rolex watch. So they stole it. He owes you money, but he's a 25%. He's a partner in this. So you're not allowed to take this. He stole my Rolex watch. I have it on video, on tape. Doesn't make a difference. You have to go to Bezdin, but what belongs to him, you have to give him. Not everyone agrees to this. That's a big machlokes how we paskin, but the Rav is extremely machmir. This is very, very much negay. I mean, through years I've heard such stories.
Most people do it because they feel they were bagnamas before.
Yeah, most people don't pay and they steal and they take from the shul. The shul owes me money. I did favors for them. I once asked a guy. They found I was Menachem and I see a Gemara not from the other kollel. So he says, it says, I did a lot of favors for the kollel. I said, what? People have a moira heter, you know what I mean? That's a separate issue. But it's a moira de gechidish. It's hard for you to appreciate all the shittas in the Ramah that the Rav took a very strict opinion over here.
The other opinion told that you take
You're allowed to take it. It's called the fiche mit rusoi lamali. Why should I give you money? You give it to me back. Bottom line is, you owe me the money. Let me hold on to it. The Ktsas brings a Zoya. The Zoya says like this shit. Maybe that's what the Rav Paskin this way. There's a Zoya that seems to say like this opinion. Anyway, so he says, he doesn't give in. Balabai is Balkoch Shuras and a Geusel can English good of many. Af Shadini Kach. Shadini Kach means allowed to do it. He's not to steal to get his thing paid. You understand? Yeah, but even up he did. But in the Shulas de Latsmo, El Pibesna, Yiska with Ishu Khalavar, Shugun Many Milav, Yafsid Cholkyoitsa is a Moiridig Chomra. That means that even though I know, this is one of the cases I try to tell people, when you go to Bezdin, it's amazing always when even Tamir Chom go to Bezdin, they really are convinced the Bezdin is going to know the truth. And they're going to have Ruach HaKodesh, and the truth is going to come out. A couple is fighting, wants to go to the entire guy tells me, the truth is going to come out. Other ya, other nine. Maybe she's going to make up stories, and you're going to make up stories, and the Bezdin is not going to believe anyone. But that's what it says over here. Here, I'm going to go to Bezdin. I'm going to tell Bezdin he stole from me. And I know for sure he stole from me. Bezdin says, I'm sorry, you don't have proof, you don't have Adam, it's hearsay, paying the thing. What? I lost it in Torah? Yeah. It's very important to remember. The Torah does not mean that the Bezdin, a guy told me, a lawyer, a young guy in my shul, coming a lawyer, and was trying to explain to me how they just read a whole article, the justice system doesn't work correctly, doesn't always judge fair, and I said, of course it's not. I says, what do you think? The Torah is that way? Very often you lose, and you are really, you should get paid. The guy's a ganav, but that's, you couldn't prove it, and that's it. Okay.
What does it mean, Goyim Ganav?
Goyim and Ganav is put in Mekefel. Mekefel. It's asking, the Mishnah says, a Goyim and Ganav is potter. Goyim and Ganav is potter to pay kefel. You know that, double. Yeah. These things, unfortunately, people are moira heter. You know what moira heter means? They feel, they're allowed to titled and, I want to take just an observation. But us in the shul, the mikveh closes at 9:30. The morning, the men's mikveh. What? For him, Bianchi knows better. Okay? So it closes at 9:20. So people come to me, why do you close it so? I says, I want to tell you, it's very interesting. That's a very interesting observation. When we keep the mikveh open, we want to see how many people pay. 90% of people come after 9:30. If there's no one there, don't pay. You're so from that you want to use the mikveh. But what happened about paying? That you're not so from. It's a sad thing. It's a sad, comical thing. That comes to mikveh, Chassidish Yiddi's got to go to the mikveh. But why pay? No, do you think the shul needs my money? It comes to Dina Mumanis, people are not very, very makpid. You're not allowed to steal from a shul. You're not allowed to take a sefer out of a shul without permission. It's very important, this. Okay. V'med v'urim amirim, she'enu rishonas din atzmik shenoit l'keneg ma shenutim ameni. Only what he takes, I'm taking what you took from me. V'lo gif ha'chefetz mat shenutim ameni. Not the object itself. Avol little gif ha'chefetz ba'atzma shenutim zem ameni. The guy took. Bein begnevim migzemita litmen bal korchoy. You're allowed to grab something out of someone's hands. V'ein ze goyzel ha'matzah l'shaloi. V'malo ein ha'meniach loy little mita v'la'akoi soy at she'niach. Im en yuchal hatzim im en mini. Only if you can't. So my question always was, I don't have an answer. I think I looked it up recently. When I learned this sugi many years ago the first time, my question was, how much are you allowed to hit him? He took away a 5 cents thing from me, exactly worth a shuva pruta. He doesn't want to give it up, and the only way to do is break a leg. If I want him to give it up, I have to break a leg. Am I allowed to break his leg?
Sure. So you say.
Yeah, for 5 cents. Okay, I just want to make sure. And how about both legs?
Whatever you need to do.
Knock out an eye.
Whatever you
Just don't kill him, you mean?
Don't say not to kill him.
Yeah. No, that you can't. That's clear. I'm saying it's very interesting that there's, I don't know, because I tell you why. Because
You're hitting him.
yeah. So the question is, if someone doesn't want to leave the house, it's the same question. I told you the Hab Mishlochim would come, and it happened to many wealthy people. The Mishloch says, "I'm not leaving the house unless you give me so and so." Guy told me recently, happened to him. Guy said, "I'm not leaving the house till you give me $7,000 of."
Why can't you call the police for that?
Yeah, it's
You did it to you, you did it to other people.
yeah, that's sure. You know,
Intrusion, they're not going to do anything.
you have to know that he talked to other people. The bottom line is, he went up. At bottom line, he's allowed to hit him to kick him out of the house. So the question is, can he? He didn't hit him, and I told him not to hit him because he's going to report you to the police, and you look like a fool. Rather, you call him to the police because anyone could do such an avla. But api halacha, you're allowed to hit him. Take a bat and beat him up. What do you say?
Where it says, you don't have to necessarily break his leg to get him to agree.
Let's say that's, no, it's true. But let's say the only way you could do it is to do that.
You can't start with breaking the leg.
Yeah, but the only thing, yeah.
You work your way up.
Is there a mila in being mevater?
Once he agrees, you can't do it anymore.
What?
Mevater on the money and not go after
You're allowed to do whatever you want.
You're allowed to.
Yeah.
Meaning all these halachas are showing us that you're allowed to do these things.
Yeah, but a crook, why should, I look at it different than you. If a guy does it to you, what business do you do?
Hardwood floors.
The guy who doesn't want to pay you, you think he chose you because you're a Chabad, he doesn't want to pay, he doesn't pay any other people neither. The guy gives you a hard time, doesn't pay the floor for you, the word. You think he does it to tell another. I think they should not let him get away with it. That's why I tell people in business, don't let him get away with it. This people is a gangster. You have such people, don't want to pay. Until you get them to pay, and you're the bad guy. Why are you calling me again? I hear this all the time.
You give him credit and then you don't see him or your money.
Yeah. So the reason why you shouldn't be mavata, not because it's not a good idea. Such a person is corrupt. You're not helping anyone. He's going to do it again. It's like people, guys are molested. I told the guy, I don't care if you meichel him, but he's going to do it to other people. The guy who doesn't pay you, doesn't pay others neither. I once had took someone to Din Torah in construction. The story was like this. He called up the guy. They asked another vendor, does he pay you? He pays me on time. And he lied. And he said he's a verschleppte crank, and this guy lost a lot of money. And Dina Shemaim, the guy has to pay him, I told him.
The guy who gave the
False advice.
Yeah, he did. He did it for favor. The guy did desperate money, but doesn't make a difference. But he gave the credit because he told him he's good credit. We had that more than once, such a thing as Din Shemayim. But so far, there's a machlokes, the Ktsos brings down over here. Din Shemayim, can you grab something? The guy owes you money, Din Shemayim. That's such a case. The guy owes you money, not because he was mazik. You know, but any time where it's a cause you lost. Let's say he called him up, he relied on him that he says he has good credit. Turned out he lied. He lied, not that he made a mistake. He lied. So now that he lied, Din Shemayim has to pay him. So can you grab something? It's big machlokes, and I think Ravach and Ktsos and the Nesivis and the, but they hold you cannot grab something with Din Shemayim. I'm trying to remember I once had such a case. Yeah, I remember Rivas, yes.
I mean, is it a proper thing to do if you're going to ask for a referral?
No, the guy did a terrible thing.
Okay, no, when I'm saying when you ask for a referral from somebody, can you ask that person to sign ADIS that like?
You could ask whatever you want. Yeah, the question, does he have to answer you?
Yeah.
But you can add, no, that you don't have to. The fact that he said to you, he does pay me all the time, turned out to be not true. He has to Din Shemayim pay.
But I'm saying to prevent all that, is there a point to get a proper star?
From whom?
From the referral person.
Why would he give it?
Why would he give it? Why would a person do that such a thing?
Well, if he wouldn't want to do that, then there's right away could be a trouble right there.
Actually, well, anytime if I apply for a credit from a company, I have to give who gives me credit today.
And the referrals, they can call, they won't just tell you.
No, they fax me and I have to fill out if they pay, if they don't pay, how much credit do they have, what's their open balance.
So what are you trying to say with this in Lachab?
That you say the star.
Oh, the Goyish company do that, you mean? Oh.
It's like an alvut in Israel. It's very common that you sign your alvut thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. But that's one thing.
But that's different.
That an alvut, a co-signer, you could grab that object out of his hand. The Chazal say an orev is a fool.
Some call ask about a certain person. Hey, I also find a good, wonderful, great girl. Call them over so that they get married and find out the color's mental illness. Can they go take it out on the guy who gave them the referral? The person who said this?
That's a good question.
It's only loneliness. Where does it stop?
I'll tell you, I'm in the middle of a Torah like this. Mamish, let me tell you a story happened. A guy, this is Stamazay, the guy is there's a big tzad that this woman cannot have children. A big tzad, and it would be very, very difficult. She's unhealthy and didn't tell her. Found out after he got married.
She didn't tell him?
What?
She didn't tell him?
No, didn't tell him. And he wants out of the marriage. So it's not so simple that maybe he has a right to ask for all the losses that he had. He got married 6 months ago. So he has a right to demand, after looking around, to pay me for the wedding money. I never would have married you. You would have told me you have an illness. So that's. But if a guy by shidduch, yes, a chayav din shemayim comes to Bezdin, chayav din shemayim, listen, that I relied that you are a healthy person. It turned out you're not healthy. So now I got married to you. It costed me, looks like it was a fancy wedding. It costed him, he tells me, $80,000 in B'nai Shalom with the jewelry, I think. I don't know. With the jewelry. Like my chassan, I would go broke 10 times if every chassan cost me $80,000. But he has money, this guy. But the bottom line is, it's just saying, like, that is, but if a guy tells you that things that it's not, the lady could live a normal life, but let's say could live a normal life, she has a chasor and she's sloppy, whatever it is, but a guy lied to you, that's not a terrible chasor. But if let's say you call the doctor and he says, I heard this lady is not well, and the doctor says, not true, she's no problem, she could have a house full of children, and he lied to you, then the doctor would have to pay. It's the Nishmai would have to pay. Right?
The doctor directly
Yes, telling you. So if a person didn't tell you they're sick, it's also a big taina. You would have never gotten married, and a frum person would never get married to a lady who can't have children. You know, the secular world, I fell in love, he's such a sweet guy, I can't have children, it doesn't make a difference. Right now, we don't get there. Later, they're going to cry over it. But right now, everything sounds great.
So, I mean, that's fairly cut and dry. It's medical, but again, I'm thinking of someone calls you for a job, a referral. So-and-so used to work for you, were they a good employee, were they reliable?
If it's another Yid calling, you have to be very honest.
No, but...
You have to be honest that he was a shlemazel, he came late, and to say the truth.
Respond. You can say, I don't know.
Or just say, I want to answer. That's an answer. I asked someone today the question, and he didn't want to answer. He says, okay, you answered me.
That's the answer.
Yeah, I don't have to know.
No.
What? Yeah, shtick, you didn't want to answer me, so I know already. That's true. If a,
Unless he doesn't want you to take it because you're so good.
this happens. I've heard this happen. I remember now. I heard this thing happen. Guy wanted get rid of him. Yeah, he's great. It was good, and then turned out to be a disaster. It's a deraisa. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that to another Yid. It's interesting. A shidduch you're allowed to. If as long as she could be a wife and have children, that she's sloppy and she who knows what, and she's immature or I don't know, whatever we want to call. She doesn't. What happens? She's not sneezed. Like one of they're fighting over is not sneeze. That he has a right to give a wife a divorce if she's not sneeze. That's a separate issue. But health, there's no way in a person who want to get married to a lady cannot bear children, have a family. So from person would never do that. Okay. People don't realize when you say something, you could be in big trouble. People don't realize that. And the funniest thing is, by shidduch, when you're allowed to say, that's when people don't want to say. But the Shabbos table, Lashon Hara could go flying. When you're allowed to say already, really allowed to say, I don't want to ruin the shidduch. What do you say?
You don't want to ruin a shidduch.
Ruin a shidduch. I ask you, I have to say. When the shidduch is bashet, you don't want to hear anyways. I have an uncle who his daughter got divorced, and he tells me, he says, when I called the yeshiva and I asked them about this boy, the yeshiva told my uncle, it's not for you. I said, well, why not? It's not for you. That's it. That's what he told him. And he didn't get a message by my uncle. And he asked, yeah, he's a great guy. And I got divorced after 4 children. He is a shlamazel and doesn't get up, he doesn't take a job, he gets fired every month to get done. His wife couldn't tolerate it. But I always joke with him that it was meant to be, you didn't get the message. He's a smart guy, my uncle. The Rosh Hashiva tried to tell him, it's not for you. What did he mind to tell you? What did he try to tell you?
Why wasn't he more direct?
How can you not be more direct?
I am more direct. I don't mince words. The reason that the Shiva can't be direct because imagine the parent is going to find out you ruined the shidduch. So no, he's a great guy, but it's not for you. It's a very political way of saying something. Yeshivas have this problem. If I'm going to go say that my Talmud is not a good Talmud, why don't people going to say send the children to my yeshiva? They just told them it's not for you. Okay, let's move on. He says, "Ve'ein mechayev lalicha lebesnet nishkadzon dekir vergeet shlohi be'en udmoistin atzma latzile misheguza mishibul goza mishibul azikoy b'chol atzul shiyuchol afilu bakua." He says, if he wants to steal something, he wants to take something, I want to get mine. Even though there is no loss, wait to Bezdin. Even though there's no loss, I don't have to go to Bezdin. I could be done in the nafshay. Prevent or anything. Even though He says, "Avalo yelech lebeis hagazling lechefesh lo Hashem yirol keganav kim yevsh letzir b'ninacha." To go into the house, you're not allowed to go in unless there is no other choice. So you're allowed to break into someone's house to take your object away.
This guy knew the bike before. He could have theoretically taken his tow truck or whatever, just drove up the driveway, smashed down the gate, and grabbed the bike.
No, if you could do it without that, if you could, it says you have to minimize the loss. Let's say it would have been closed well, he could have broken down the door and get his object. Even though the gate is $1,000 and his bike is $50 worth. This is very important. You can't hire a guy to do it for you, because we don't trust a guy. I don't know if I said over the story, but in 25 years ago, there was a guy who needed a hetimated bonum. And they got separated, and she refused to take a get, and he says, I'm going to go get a hetimated bonum. He hired a guy. When she came down the tracks on Bar Pike, you come down from the steps, and there was a guy waiting downstairs, took a bucket of freezing water, was in the winter, poured it over her, and just got into the car. And there happened to be a get next week. So, I said to the guy told me over the story, Rav told me the story, he's not allowed to do that. You can't hit her. No, you're not a hitter. There's no heter for that. You got a heter made a bonum. Since you can get it, you're lazy to get a heter made a bonum, but there's no heter to hit. Doesn't say over here he doesn't have a right, To hit, you have to have a big heter for that, to hit someone. So you can't get even a goy. Can't get a goy, but you got a Jew to grab. You can't get a goy to hit, to force himself. You don't trust a goy, because then who knows what he's going to do.
And the Jew, yes?
Yes.
So the Jew would be your
But that's what you're asking. A Jew to be a shliach, yes. And then what you're saying, yes. Yes, a Jew, he's saying a goy cannot be your shliach, but a Jew, you could tell her.
So if the Jew poured water on her?
No, but a get is different. I'm not saying Jew. He's asking, can I hire a Jew to break into the house and get my object out? Yes. Can I hire a goy to do that? A friend of mine told me that a cousin of his, he gave him a loan. They were doing business, and he was giving, he had cash, as we call green money, and he gave a guy who was a contractor building a bar park, and he owed him $250,000. And then one day he says, I don't owe you anything. You have a proof? I don't owe you anything. So what did he do? He hired the Israelis, chavre over there, and they take a third. What's the deal was? So he told me exactly what they do. First, they just park the car, and they come out, all stiffed up, and it makes them extremely nervous. And then they follow them, and they stalk him. This guy, before things get too hot, he quickly paid up. And then they escalate. So he asked me, he's allowed to do this? Yes, you're allowed to do that. It's not going to come to Din Torah. Don't tell anyone I said you're allowed to do it, but you're allowed to do it. He told you, I don't owe you money. So, what did he say? He's like, I didn't go into this house. I just intimidated him. Just a simple intimidated him. The Shach, the Chavas Yuir, I think it was a nephew of the Shach. And he says, my mother, who was a sister of the Shach, told me that the Shach was stolen a necklace, a very expensive necklace for the stolen, and the Shach got hold of a gun, and he told me, if you don't give me back the necklace, I'm going to shoot you. Heilige Shach. And the bottom line, the guy never paid it back, and 3 years later, he returned the object that he had terrible tzaras. He started with the Heilige Shach, and he gave it back the necklace. After it's a story with no, he just gave back the necklace. But you see, the Shach knew that he stole it, and he pulled the gun on him.
He wasn't intimidated because the Shach was holding the gun.
That's Chassidus.
So mad with him, okay. B'chol ze shuchel avara shecheves shalom mitven halal lebesen. So nicht good show. Aber lo yuchel avara, any tzurch lo mishen shula koisin la ladhirim, sheki an shia bes in la ladhirim, ela fila beloiku ein atzruse klem. You cannot grab the chayvetz. Even if he doesn't have edim, it says. Let me explain this. I could grab the bike. This guy could grab the bike out of the backyard of this guy. If he could bring edim later, that it belongs to him. So this guy was going to, it didn't deny it. It's not such a good mushal. The guy who took the bike didn't deny it. He was just not answering the phone. But let's say my bike is by the guy, and the guy screams that it's his. And I could bring two edim, clearly show that it's mine. I'm allowed to break in and take it. But if I cannot have edim that it's mine, how could I be done in an afshe? You come to Bez and it's also not yours. You follow? But there's no edim. They're going to grab it. Then I'm nema with a migi. Yeah, only if no one sees that I'm grabbing it, then I could break down the door and grab it. You know why? Because I could come to Bezdin and I could say, I never grabbed, I grabbed is mine that I grabbed. Migi, I could say I never grabbed it. It's still by you.
You didn't have to say that it's his, or that
It's his. No, it's his.
In other words, if you cannot give him that it's yours, make sure you bring it to his house with no Hagen. With no Hagen watching you doing it.
So v'kshesh edim ein tfus meres el mashke moida lo shichayv lo eze choyv yishchoyv bu lo shloi mach mesal vu us el mashke ba'atzu chol inyan. But you're allowed to. The last paragraph is saying, I'm allowed to take a mashkin. I'm allowed to take it as a mashkin. Moida shichayv lo eze choyv, another choyv. Yishchoyv yibu shloi mach mesal vu. But I'm allowed to take as a mashkin.
If he's moida, that there's a chayv again.
Yes.
And if he's not moida, then you
Right.
take a mashkin.
Right.